Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. I'm Teresa Aronson, President and CEO of the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. It is our pleasure, our honor to facilitate this event every second Friday of the month.
If you say so.
I think so. Right here in the council chambers at City Hall. It's free, it's open to the public. We'd love for you to come down and join us, just like all of these great people have today. But we're going to start the show, as we always should, with none other than the mayor of this beautiful city of Port St. Lucie, Gregory Oravec. Welcome.
Thank you, Teresa. Good morning, everybody. What do you have on tap for us on this Friday the 13th of October edition of Coffee with the Mayor?
Yes, yeah. Friday the 13th in October. It's a little ominous, isn't it?
It is.
I'm a little nervous about it.
I mean, Marisol always scares me a little bit, but today...
Yes. This show can be frightening on a good day.
Did you ever see Yoda in Star Wars, and I mean how nimble he was? That's Marisol right there.
You just called Marisol Yoda.
1 second she's walking around with her camera all benevolent, the next second doing backflips with a lightsaber.
Yeah. And he was the master, right? And that's kind of like Marisol is sort of the master. I think she might take it, although he is significantly taller.
Oh boy.
She missed that one. That's
Have you ever met L.A. before? L.A. Hardy out there?
I have, the Funky Chicken.
Yes, he's here probably to sell us some chicken and waffles. How you doing this morning? You doing all right? Good morning.
Thank you for coming, L.A. I actually have been to the Funky Chicken and had his waffles and chicken, collard greens, top notch. A little bit of spice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And of course, we're supporting our local businesses.
Our local chamber members as well.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Yes. So big welcome to L.A. Hardy.
I want to call out, do you know Lynette Maroff out there? She came in her workout clothes today. She was really worried about it. So I just thought I'd call her out on live TV and see what color blush we could get.
Well, why don't you come on down? Of course, we know Lynette from Trax Entertainment, too.
All right, so we're going to have some fun, and obviously for our first-timers here, we're a big family. It's one of the great things about Port St. Lucie is that we're the 8th largest city in the state of Florida as far as population goes, but at the end of the day, we're a big family, and when we get together, we like to have some fun before, during, and after dealing with whatever important work that we have. So today I'm going to turn it over to you now so you can sit down with our sponsor.
And we're going to talk about a bit of a serious issue, mental health in the area, and we've talked about it a few times here. But yeah, we do a little bit of serious, a little bit of fun on this show.
Absolutely. And then I'll be back, and on a day like today, we've had one of those weeks. Had a council meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
Tuesday was here till about 1 o'clock in the morning preparing for a very difficult fire board meeting that we had on Wednesday. And Wednesday, I visited a dear friend who was, after that fire board meeting, that went till about 5 o'clock or so, and you might have seen it on the news, visited a dear friend who had cancer removed this week, and then drove to Tallahassee. Got to Tallahassee at 2:26 a.m.
Oh my goodness, it's the worst
Thursday
drive.
morning, and some people were wondering if I'd be here, and we had 7 appointments yesterday.
You did, in Tallahassee. Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to be here because I knew you were in Tallahassee.
And then here for Coffee with the Mayor, which I wouldn't want to miss that with you and you. Always look forward to that. So we'll see you in 10 minutes.
Absolutely. So stay with us at home. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube, but we'll be right back. Welcome back to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Mayor. I'm Teresa Aronson, and I'm here right now with our sponsor. And our sponsor for this entire year, we're so happy to have them as a partner. It's the HCA family, and that includes Longwood Regional Medical Center and Heart Institute, St. Lucie Medical Center, Heart and Family Institute, their brand new emergency room right there in Darwin Square, and so much more. They now also include Care Now urgent care facilities, and there's 5 throughout the Treasure Coast. So please welcome Sandy Alisea and Linda Serafina, right?
Serafin.
Thank you for joining us. I was so worried about your name that I screwed up your name, but that's usually about how things go. So tell us what you do with St. Lucie Medical Center. Sandy, why don't you start?
Okay. Well, I am what they call an IOP coordinator, and that's just a fancy schmancy name to say that I help put everything together for this brand new program.
Okay.
Linda was the one who put together all our policies and procedures, and I am the individual who will sign off on all the doctor's orders.
Okay.
And together we make a really functional team.
What is this program?
It is a mental health intensive outpatient program.
Okay.
And our goal is to have individuals who are either in a psychiatric facility, psychiatric unit such as the one we have at St. Lucie Medical Center, step down into a higher level of care from their traditional outpatient 1 time a week, 1 hour a week service.
So this is a facility that offers outpatient care, but you also have inpatient care.
Well, the hospital has inpatient care, and we have the outpatient component, the intensive
Okay.
outpatient component.
And this is a new program. We've had Dr. Barbara on the show before. Yes.
She is my counterpart at Lawnwood Hospital.
Oh, okay.
She is my counterpart at Lawnwood Hospital.
And what makes this different from a traditional outpatient, maybe seeking out a doctor and visiting their offices?
When you are in a hospital setting, you are there 24 hours a day for at least 5 to 7 days, and you are receiving round-the-clock medical, nursing, and psychiatric services. When you step down from that high-level, high-intensity service to 1 hour a week for a counselor and 1 hour a month, or 15 minutes a month for medication management with a psychiatrist, there's a lot of things that happen in between and a lot of things that can fall through the crack support-wise.
Of course.
So our hope is to be that, cover that gray area,
Okay.
and provide multiple supports during that transition time.
Yeah, you're, 24 hours to 1.
Correct.
In a week. I get that.
Correct.
And we know it's an epidemic in the United States, and our jails reflect that, and our addiction centers reflect that. And why do you think that this will, or how do you think this will help that growing epidemic?
Our program is primarily a mental health coverage, not a substance abuse program coverage. So our hope is to target those who are really struggling in dealing with their mental health issues and providing them support as well as their family members. If they have a dual diagnosis, meaning that their primary diagnosis is a mental health issue and then they have been using substances to kind of ameliorate the symptoms, take away those symptoms, manage on a day-to-day, then we will absolutely work with them on that as well.
And do you find that that's probably quite common?
It typically is. Clients tend to be dual diagnosed, or as more commonly known today, as co-occurring. That means that they have a mental health symptom as well as substance abuse diagnosis. Now, although our program will primarily work with clients with mental health issues, if they have a substance abuse issue, we still continue to work with them, but they cannot actively be using. They would have to be in recovery and taking steps toward living a stabilized life. And that's part of what we do in this program, giving them life skills, giving them coping skills, education about their disease so that they're better able to manage it.
We had New Horizons on our another show that we do, nonprofits, and they talked about getting loved ones help because it's a very difficult situation to approach with your loved ones. And we talked a little bit about Baker acting. And is this something that would the people be able to get them into your facility, or at least St. Lucie Medical to start with, and then onto you? Okay.
Absolutely. The vast majority of the patients that come onto the unit come through a Baker Act, either through police interaction or because they were referred by their family members. So maybe they've gone to the clerk of the court and petitioned that they hold them for assessment. And again, our desire is to be that stepping stone down.
To go from that intensive treatment
to nothing, 1 hour a week.
Okay. And I imagine they can self-enroll in this program as well?
Yes, absolutely. So the referrals not only come from the behavioral health unit, but they can also come from the community. Right now, we'd like to start the program by targeting first responders. And what we would like to do is identify clients who are suffering with depression, anxiety, stress, PTSD in particular, so that we can have a commonality. We have a forum for them to come in to receive therapy therapy together in this group setting.
So you want to target the first responders to identify the people that need to come in, or that first responders are struggling?
First responders who are struggling.
Okay, very good. I'm glad we cleared that up. Okay, it is a very stressful job, and many of them can suffer from PTSD, and that's all very documented. So you're doing outreach to them, is what you're saying?
That's what we are attempting, yes.
Okay. Well, then if we have some first responders that may be interested in talking to you, or some family members that might be interested in
love
reaching,
it.
how do they get a hold of you?
Well, we are in a separate building from the hospital. We're actually across the street from their new emergency department, and we have our own lines, and you can call us directly. Linda has a direct number. I have a direct number. We'd love for them to call us.
Okay, give out your number. We'll put it on TV so maybe they can.
My number is 772-398-1630.
398-1630, and you can call that number if you know of a loved one or you yourself are suffering with some trauma or some depression. Very common. How many people in America suffer from some bouts of depression?
There are large numbers that are out, depending on who took the statistics. It can vary, but the most important thing to know is that most people do know someone who is affected by a mental illness, whether or not they're aware of it. It could be a friend, a neighbor, someone in your history that you're not quite sure of, but it's there. It's more prevalent than we think. And it should also be noticed that there is still a stigma that exists of mental illness that still persists in this country, regardless of all the advances that we made. And professionally speaking, we would like to be able to eliminate that stigma.
Dispel those myths about
Absolutely.
mental illness, because everybody is touched by it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for sharing that information, and hopefully we can help you reach out to those first responders, because we do know that is a very stressful job, and we appreciate everything that you're doing and the HCA family has opened up to our community.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And we will be right back, of course, with the mayor once again, and to hand out our Children's Services Impact Award winner this month. Welcome back to Coffee with the Mayor. I am Teresa Aronson, and I'm here with none other, the one, the only mayor of the city of Port St. Lucie, Gregory Orbeck.
Hello, everybody, again. All right, now, Trissa, this is the part of the show where we bring on our Children's Services Council.
To give away an award, which is called?
Well, hold on a second.
Okay.
Just hold your horses.
Okay. Gonna become superfluous.
What is, oh, you're calling the Children's Services Council superfluous?
No, me.
All right. Does anyone here know what the mission of the Children's Services Council is? Yes, you young lady.
You're gonna let Ashley Mock, employed by the Children's
All right,
Services,
well, you
tell
know
us?
what? Let's bring on Too Tall Sean Boyle to tell us about what the Children's Services Council does.
That would be.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Thanks
Hey,
for joining
Sean.
us, as you always do. Go ahead and get in the middle there.
Okay.
You can be the
Oh, a
tallest.
Sean sandwich.
This is the part of the show where
Yeah.
we quiz you on your own mission. You're a highly paid professional. What is the mission of the Children's Services Council?
To improve the quality of life for all children in St. Lucie County.
Bingo, bango.
It's not, you're not gonna go through the five
Yeah, no, give us the
fingers
pillow.
of.
Yeah.
You just asked for the mission. I just.
Oh, okay, I was like.
He
So
answered the
our
question.
purpose in St. Lucie County is to do 5 things.
Yes.
Do you know what they are?
I know like 3 of them, and then I get stumped,
All right,
so you just do
the first one
it.
is to make sure every baby's a healthy baby. Second one is to stop child abuse before it happens. The third one is to keep kids off the street.
Yep.
The fourth one is to keep them in school.
Yep.
And the fifth one is.
Healthy babies.
That was
Every
number
baby's.
one.
Oh,
The fifth one.
It's so important.
3 years, I'm still not paying attention.
The fifth one is make sure kids stay off drugs, alcohol, and other risky behaviors.
That's a healthy baby.
If you say so.
And contrary to what Trissa, the head of the chamber, might tell you, it's obviously, in all seriousness, a very critical mission. We're lucky to have it in St. Lucie County. It's a countywide function. We have Sean as the chief executive of the organization. There's a separate legislative body. And just in the last election, well, the 2014 election, we had it reauthorized by the voters. So the voters thought it was important enough, and continue to think it's important enough to dedicate ad valorem taxes, millage. Part of the tax bill goes to support that mission. And because it's really, when you think about it, one of the most important things that we can do as a community is taking care of our children. We like to bring Sean on every show, and then he gives out one of these Community Impact Awards. And
Nailed the title.
He was reading
One
it.
up on
I'm
Teresa.
calling foul.
As a, well, no comment, but you go ahead and take it away
all right.
and tell us about the award, and then we'll bring in the award winner.
Sure, she's nervously waiting on the wings.
She does not
She
want to
should
join
be. I mean,
this hot mess.
there's
does she?
millions of people watching.
I told her how this was going to go, and this isn't how I told her it was going to go. so
Sounds about right.
one of our priorities, and actually our largest investment in the community, is keeping kids off the streets. So when the school bell rings at any school day, because of our efforts and because of our partnership.
Hard to learn if you're not there.
Exactly. But part of our effort is when the school bell rings, they have somewhere safe to go. And it's more than just being safe, it's also working on their academics, working on their pro-social involvement. And so we wanted to recognize somebody that works in an after-school program.
Okay.
And they work for the Boys and Girls Club of St. Lucie
Aw,
County.
very nice.
And everybody thinks that, running an after-school program is simple. You just have them do their homework, you let them run around outside.
No
I was just going to say that. Nobody that has any children whatsoever.
Right, that is not true. You have to have somebody there that when the kids come, they want to be there, and they engage everybody that's there. And so we chose because when this woman walks into the room, especially when there's kids, everybody gravitates towards her. She is the director of the Chuck Hill unit in the Boys and Girls Club in Port St. Lucie. She's done great, amazing things, not only with the kids there, but also with teenagers, and that's often a hard audience to attract. So our award winner this month is Francesca Barnes from the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh,
Congratulations. And she comes with her own
come
microphone.
on over.
Excellent.
Come stand in the middle. Congratulations,
Thank you so
Francesca.
much. I'm so nervous.
You are? Really?
Funny because when she's
As
with
long as
kids, she's not nervous at all.
That would make me sweat, is being amongst all those.
As long as you don't think of a room full of adults and then all the people watching on Facebook and YouTube, and then everyone who gets Comcast and AT&T in the city of 185,000. As long as you don't think about that, you'll be fine. Don't worry.
I really just want to thank Children's Services Council because they made my time with the Boys and Girls Club amazing, because they were able to help us meet so many goals and different dreams that a lot of the youth had, especially Mayor Orvac, because he worked with us on a prom project where we were able to send a group of youth and they had the ultimate prom experience. But literally, you guys both work hand in hand just to make our youth have such an amazing experience. I'm so sorry, I'm a little sick, so I sound nasally. But just thank you guys so much, because you have no idea the huge impact you have on the community and the youth we serve. Just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do. The Boys and Girls Club does such great work here, and we have so many great centers. And I do know the mayor is always very, very generous with his time and efforts to help out the children of our area. So congratulations to you,
so
Francesca.
Thank you.
And where is your campus?
It's on 198 Northwest Marion Avenue. It's by Sportsman's Park.
Oh,
and
perfect.
we serve youth as well as teenagers. younger kids as well as teenagers.
And a shout out to the Boys and Girls Club, but if we have parents at home that are looking to maybe enroll their children in the Boys and Girls Club, looking for a little extra help to keep them off the streets and healthy.
Nailed it.
Okay. And in school, how should they reach out?
What they can do is they can go on BGC of SLC, it's a lot of letters,
Okay.
.org,
Okay.
and
So it's Boys and
SLC.
yeah.
.org.
find the different clubhouses, the locations, the phone numbers, and once they call one, they just come in and they sign up the
Very
youth.
good. You can come forward. I feel like she's trying to escape out that
I am.
window back there. That's not.
Try to slide behind
I can see you're like, you keep backing up. You're not going to go anywhere. There's this, but
not real.
I know. Thank you for being with it, and
so much.
congratulations, Francesca. Thank you, Sean, for bringing this in. Thank you.
Drop.
Welcome back to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Mayor. I am Teresa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Greg Orbeck, Mayor of Port St. Lucie.
Well, very good. Thank you. And that was our very first take, wasn't it?
Wow, we know our names. Impressive.
Yes, we're very good at our jobs. We got to honor our Children's Services Community Impact Award winner, and we got to visit with our sponsor, HCA, the HCA family. And now we want to talk about some things going on in Port St. Lucie. In our beginning segment, you talked about some things that you had to do this week, so let's start there.
All right, well, I would really just quickly like to talk about the council agenda. So your city council, we're a 5-person body that you elect to represent you. And at least twice a month on Mondays, many times 3 times a month, we have meetings. And in those meetings, we have an agenda, city council agenda, and we get a stack of paper that can sometimes be, about that thick. So I like to sometimes just decode what went down at that city council meeting. What is the news you need to know? And this week, a few things I think really stand out. One, we approved a contract for McCarty Ranch, our water storage and treatment project. So if you've been following that, if you care about our St. Lucie River, you care about the Indian River Lagoon, you know that there's just way too much fresh water going into the river and the lagoon, so much that it's actually ruining one of the most biodiverse and exceptional estuaries in the entire world. So as we wait for Lake Okeechobee and all these multifaceted interests and constituencies and all these people arguing about what the best way to solve it is, it's really important that we just continue to do what we can as a community to just make a difference today. You can wait a lifetime for the perfect answer, or you can just get to work today. And I think the people of Port St. Lucie have always put their hard hat on and gone to work. And we have about 5,000 acres on the west side of town. And we've created a project, the McCarty Ranch Water Storage and Treatment Project. And we're going to take up to 21% of the excess fresh water out of the C-23 canal. So the C-23, the 24, and the St. Lucie River, those are our major tributaries to the North Fork and the Indian River Lagoon. That's where our fresh water comes from, and we're taking one of those major tributaries. It also just spews a ton of fertilizer, phosphorus, and nitrogen, the stuff that grows algae into the river and the lagoon. We're going to take 21%, and we're going to take tens of thousands of pounds of fertilizer out of the environment. And we're going to do that together, not only because it's the right thing to do for our environment and our quality of life and property values, but also because this is going to create additional drinking water supply for us. So right now, the water that we drink in Port St. Lucie comes from 2 aquifers, the Surficial and the Floridan. And so in addition to pulling it from the ground, we'll be able to pull it from a reservoir. So all of that really started this week with the first cell. That first stormwater treatment area was approved Monday night, and just want to thank, obviously the Chamber's been a big sponsor along the way, but the South Florida Water Management District is contributing towards the project. The Federal Environmental Protection Agency is contributing to this phase. The next phase, the state provided a $1 million plus appropriation last year. We're going to be going back again this year. So that kicked off Monday night.
So we're getting ready to rock and roll on that.
That's
and you're
right.
going to be taking it out of the C-23, but it's important to note that that's not one of the canals that they actually discharge into from Lake Okeechobee, correct?
The Lake Okeechobee water, correct. So that's going to the Okeechobee waterway that comes into the South Fork. And so the water all that water we worry about coming from Lake O actually hits us a little bit further south. It hits on the Martin County side into the South Fork of the river. But the crazy thing is that the South Fork and the North Fork come together right around Club Med. All right, and what happens is, let's say that you have an incoming tide. It's a tidal body. It's influenced by the ocean's tides. So when there's a high tide, that water has nowhere to go. It's basically running into a water-made dam. The water can't flow out of the canals. It backs up, and the tide actually brings it back the other way.
Yeah.
And so it's not as direct as it is for the South Fork, but it still impacts us.
Blend.
It all comes together right there at kind of the tail, the southern end of Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, Club Med, which is a huge destination for tourists in our area too.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that strategically, how could you have the only Club Med in the continental U.S. Where people are saving up for a year, 2 years, 5 years to go on a vacation somewhere else in the world, and then that's the experience. You can't have that.
We don't want to
obviously.
leave that taste in their mouth.
No, absolutely not.
Good news on that. We're excited about that.
So that is something exciting. Everyone in Port St. Lucie, sidewalks is a hot button issue. We talk about sidewalks a lot. This week we approved a contract to allow for the construction of 1.7 miles of sidewalks on Tulip.
Yep.
And connect to PSL Boulevard. So that was another major
It's
item.
exciting. A lot of kids get the bus over there and need some sidewalks.
Absolutely. We're getting to that tipping point where if you drive the city now and you're going down a road like Rosser or Cameo or Savona or Meluca on the east side, you're just starting to see now where there weren't sidewalks, years ago, and it was heartbreaking. Now you're starting to see that these sidewalks are really getting to be on all of our California, all of our major roadways, and we're kind of reaching that tipping point. So that's exciting. And so we're making progress there. The other thing that's happening is tradition in Southern Grove. So at the end of the month, there's a hospital ribbon cutting for an expansion, and there's also Monday night, just to the south of that, we approved an additional 60,000 square feet of medical office. So that district is really flourishing. And that's another 3-story and another 2-story building that were approved with an additional pad. So if you think about what's going on there, obviously the hospital anchors that district. Kaiser just opened up with their new building. In fact, I don't know where Francesca went, but we had a Boys and Girls Club event there not too long ago for mentoring, and they did a lot of training there. It was pretty exceptional. There's an orthopedic surgery center that's under construction right now. That's what, if you're on 95 and you're like, hey, what's that newest building going into Tradition? That's the orthopedic surgery center. But now we're going to have those additional 2 buildings filling in there. And then I can't tell you everything, but it is on Mondays. This next Monday's agenda is Project Bourbon. These economic development projects, they get code names.
So they can remain confidential. That's why we have an Economic Development Council.
I don't know how they come up with it. I thought maybe it was a distillery. I thought it was.
It doesn't have anything to do with bourbon, though.
I thought it was a chamber-sponsored project.
That might track.
But that's the reason why we went to Tallahassee this week. We're asking for a state investment in a loop road so that we can create a business park just to the south of Kaiser. And this employer is one of the top 8 in its manufacturing sector. It's a manufacturer. They would create 271 jobs. They would build a 400,000 square foot building. They'll invest over $40 million, and the jobs are at about 40. The average is 43,000 plus, so that's over our existing average.
It is.
So this would be one of the larger economic development projects to come to the city, especially in my time here. And the neat thing I think about it is that it's really kind of old school, salt of the earth economic development. No one's providing them, proposing to provide them a wheelbarrow full of cash.
Nope.
That can be set on fire. We're not trying to buy love.
No upfront monies.
We're proposing just a loop road so that not only can this employer operate, but 4 additional pads, ready ground that's ready for development so that we can get 4 more employers just like that next to them will be created. And really that's the way to grow. If you would think about metaphors, it's really about growing the economy, farming, versus trying to buy it. And
manufacturing is one of the great sectors to attract too, because all the money's come back here and it gets circled through our economy a great deal. Now this is, you said Monday, and today is, we said October 13th.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so hopefully by the time you see this at home, we'll know the name of Project Bourbon, which I've had people ask me, I don't know. People have been very tight-lipped. All I know is that it is going to mean lots of jobs. It's manufacturing, and we are very excited about it because it is a name we will recognize, I'm hearing. I don't know what the name is, I promise. Nobody told me, but we'll recognize it, so we're excited. But I think by the time this airs, we might know what it is, so maybe we'll fill it in here.
yeah, we'll just bring it in underneath. With the
Welcome.
welcome.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Exciting news.
That's good convergence there on the welcome idea. All right, so one
Great minds.
one controversial item, and then we'll open it up for questions, and that is, I didn't have time to open up Facebook this week really, but on the way here, it just popped up on my phone. People are asking about a rehab facility on California and with Del Rio maybe?
Yeah, Del Rio.
Yes.
Del Rio in California, so, okay. I know where you're at.
And so they were like, when's this going to be discussed at council? And, you know, a lot of us, unless you've been in the business like I have, you might not have studied land use and zoning and all the laws that impact land use. And this use is proposing to go into an old church. And a church is what we call an institutional land use. And a rehab facility like this is also an institutional land use. So there's really, honestly, directly, there won't be a big council discussion because the land use and zoning are already there. The only thing that we will see as a city council is what we call a site plan. And a major site plan is just a drawing that shows that the use complies with the zoning code, that it has the right amount of parking, it has the right type of landscaping.
It's ADA, it's you know.
So those kinds of things can be addressed, but the use itself, it's already set. The laws don't allow us to even address the issue. And so I'm going to keep circling back. Believe me, anytime that the community as a whole would like something, the city council is usually on board. We want to make it happen. It disappoints us, it hurts us, it bothers us when we cannot do it and take care of our residents. That's what we're here for. But when we can't, there's usually a legal imperative. There's laws that just everyone doesn't understand. We're not working with the same information.
Correct.
Sometimes you got to do the right thing. There's a moral imperative, whether it's, if it's actually constitutional, it's legal, but, sometimes you have to do the right thing because as groups we can get upset. And then the only other time is really the strategic imperative where the council is going to do something which might be controversial in the short term, but it's really going to pay dividends in the long term. And that's something like when we did the septic to sewer conversion. You have Mayor Christensen that's usually attends these and she's in the back, and she wasn't mayor at the time, but Mayor Minsky. I mean, they were here till 3 o'clock in the morning with tents in the parking lot, and people were giving death threats, but they knew that at that time it was the right thing. But I reflected a lot, obviously, on serving you, and those are really the only times that the council is going to go a different way. And we saw this play out with Torino and the rehab center that went there. I wasn't on the council at the time, but there's a rehab facility that's just about to open in Torino. The council at the time tried to deny it.
They did?
And they did deny it. Then they were sued.
Yes.
Then they had to allow it.
Yes.
And so what you definitely don't want to be in a situation is where you not only are forced to accept the use, but you have to pay the attorney and all the fees associated with it.
Which can be quite expensive.
It can be millions of dollars. So we'll talk about that more, but I just wanted to get it out there.
And I want, as the Chamber of Commerce, we want to weigh on that. Of course, we are here to protect the interest of business, but I think it's a fine line, and I think that residents need to be mindful that people have land rights, and it is unconstitutional to deny them their land rights, and if something is zoned to be able to go there, there is nothing you can legally do to stop them other than changing the, and you can't backdate these sorts of things. So people need to be able to, because you wouldn't like it if you bought a beautiful piece of property and you decided to build a business there that was perfectly allowed there, but people didn't like what you were doing. And so they said, no, that's just not how a free market and things work here in the United States. So for us, I understand people's concerns, I do. And I know, we all live in a house somewhere, and we're very protective of what is around our house somewhere. But at the same time, you have to be mindful of not to bring on lawsuits to the city that cost us money in the long run either. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. But it is what it is, and you have to do what you're legally abided by. So.
Well, we really appreciate your support and good faith and understanding of the issue, and you bringing up you can't backdate it is a great point. Thank you for bringing that up, because even if you came up with the world's best idea on how to deal with something legally for the future, doesn't mean that you can wind back the clock and apply that to what's in the hopper, who's already applied. So that's a great point. Thank you.
If you wanted to change it tomorrow, it's too late. This guy's already, kind of grandfathered in.
And the picking and choosing, and you could see how that might work. You can't say, well, this kind of church is okay, but that kind of church isn't. And then similarly, because, with how the zoning code is, churches and rehab facilities are in the same category. You can't say, well, we want that church, but not that rehab.
And we don't set those categories as a local municipality. Those categories are set beyond our powers as well, and people need to understand that too.
And sometimes we set them, and the court says you set them wrong, and this is how you need to
Try
set
again,
them.
yeah.
And that's actually what happened with the churches. But we won't do a planning law course today. We will
They look
open it.
riveted, though.
We will open
Totally
it up. Hey, say hi to my friend Gary Smith there. He's
I already did. I always say hi to Gary.
all right. Well, I want the audience say hi to Gary Smith there. He's not dressing up as a construction worker for Halloween or Friday the 13th. He leads people serious about litter.
Yep.
And he goes out there with wonderful volunteers and keeps our streets clean. And I hope that you'll join him and me, my family. We've adopted a street in Port St. Lucie, and it takes all of us doing our part to say and stay safe, clean, and beautiful.
Yep,
All right.
safest large city.
Mark, go ahead. Go out there, fan out, figure out what questions.
Who wants to ask?
Friday the 13th questions.
Oh, right up front, Mark. Mark's coming with the microphone. 1 second. He's right behind you. There you go.
I don't need a microphone because
know-
Oh, for the
First of
TV.
all-
People are watching
for the
at home.
TV.
I used to work for you. I'm Naomi Bernstein.
Okay, Naomi.
Yes.
Naomi used to be a
I used to
volunteer
work
for us.
you at the
It's nice to see
in
you.
here. My question is this. It may not seem important to people, but I noticed that we're not having Oktoberfest this year at the Civic Center. And I was wondering why.
I have bad news, Naomi. We did have Oktoberfest.
We had Oktoberfest every single year since I've been living here.
No, I know. We had it last week.
It was last
Sorry.
week.
Last
Naomi.
week?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry that
Oh
I
my
missed
God,
you.
I missed it.
But we're getting an early start. We are getting an early start on next year, Naomi.
You look great.
Okay. And
Haven't changed a bit.
Let me know about it.
I did not, we did not call you, but if you will just email me at mayor@cityofpsl.com and you have an email address, we'll make sure you get on the newsletter.
Right.
And then you'll definitely get the newsletter next year. No.
I sat next to you at a funeral.
Oh, well,
You don't remember that?
no, it wasn't ours. I know that.
Naomi sat next to you at a funeral. Okay, very good.
All right,
she has
Naomi,
a long
thank you.
history with all of us.
She does. Let me grab my notepad. This might get serious.
Okay. Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good.
I just had a question about the, with the homeowners, because we're in business owners of Port St. Lucie, because I work with the SELF organization, Solar Energy Loan Fund, and our goal is working to help people reduce, energy costs, and while they upgrade their homes and make it more, sturdy for them in the future. And so we're working to try to help homeowners in that area, and we're trying to find out if the city of Port St. Lucie is open. Helping with providing information on the new Sunset program that has to do with wholesale solar, solar energy that we're rolling out. And so I just didn't know if you knew about it and if you were, obviously, trying to connect to try to get the information out to your residents.
Well, I want to say Solar Energy Loan Fund is something that we can all do. I actually was one of the very first loan receivers of yes. I got a 3% interest rate. That's how long ago it was for me. I was a borrower. There you go. But it's a great program, and they actually offer it to businesses as well to upgrade appliances, windows, all kinds of things,
roofs,
doors, roofs. To try to get you to use less energy, of course. And he's looking for help getting that information out, which we can help too at the chamber. But any suggestions?
Well, you might not know, but you work with Doug Coward?
Absolutely.
So I was actually in the press release and am working to supply as much information as possible. In addition to what we've spoken about already, we're in a period now where on the photovoltaic, on the actual panels, we can actually get the wholesale rate right now. And it's for a defined period of time. How long is it, 30 days, 60?
Yeah, well, actually going to be, you got up to 90 days to apply right now to get on the list.
So it happens in tranches if you think about it. So we have access to the bulk rate, and you can't leave it open all the time. So there's this one period where if you really want to bring your cost basis down, you want to bring your cost down to actually get the panels. I mean, the sexy stuff. I mean, the easy stuff and the greatest return is weatherproofing your house, weatherization. That's the low-hanging fruit. But if you wanted to take your game to the next level and actually get some panels and squeeze some juice out of that big sun up there, you need the panels. And so for this, let's say 90-day period, you're going to be able to access a wholesale price that you normally can't get. And that's right now. And so yes, we are a partner. Was in the press release.
And you can get a loan to do that, right?
Yeah, I know that we've been working with the county commission. We've Facebooked it. So we'll continue to pump out the
And you can continue to
message.
come to things like this and ask that question.
Yes.
That's the smart play.
Or however you like to do that. I'll be, be available for that. And that's why I came here today, just kind of, just let people know that we're here to,
Great.
move forward with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a perfect way to do it. Does everybody have something else? And now Jeff wants on board. All right. Mr. Emalud?
Hey, Mayor, excuse me. After the hurricanes, the city did a pretty good job of getting lawn debris and everything cleaned up, but it's been kind of a lull, and now there's still a lot in the neighborhoods. Is there a timeline as to when the next big pickup's going to be? Because there still seems to be quite a bit out there.
There are 22 crews working out there right now, and so the deadline when the city manager and Mike Lubeck, who's in the back, the staff, they turn into pumpkins, is coming up. Actually, I want it to be Wednesday, but I guess they have technically a couple more days. I like to start big picture. Big picture, Jeff, is this. In 2 days, the equivalent of 28 months of debris was created. So I've had a lot of calls, and it's something that I could have discussed before because it's really, in between everything else, this has been the issue. And I've gotten several calls from residents. The storm wasn't that bad. It missed us. This is terrible. How dare you? The whole 9 yards. And this is the tough job of being the mayor. You got to find the right balance and what the facts actually indicate. And what the facts indicate is that we had 28 months of debris generated in a 48-hour period, essentially. And it takes time for that. So we set a standard of 30 days, and it wasn't right from the event, because 30 days would have been Wednesday, and hence, while I was pushing staff to have it done 2 days ago. But it should be done by the weekend. So if you're not picked up yet, the gentleman right behind you can provide you with the hotline. I don't know it off the top of my head.
You better run. Well, I think that's it. I mean, it's a fair question, but I do think people should realize, one, it hit all Florida, so every community in Florida is clamoring for extra clam trucks, pun intended, to pick up the debris.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's next level.
Worked hard. Anyway, so, but now if you go down any street, there is barely a house without some sort of debris in front of it, and typically, they have to kind of go around looking for debris. And so you have to be mindful of that. The trucks fill up quickly. They've got to make more runs to wherever they're taking it, which I don't even know where that is. Where do they take it?
Well, they're bringing it to the Cameo site in Crosstown. That's where you're just going to see a huge mountain of yard waste. But there's some other things. So I gave you the big one that, hey, there's over 2 years worth of debris created. That takes time. The other thing is it's frustrating for residents, is not Waste Pro. Waste Pro is our normal hauler. For the debris from a disaster, we actually have a special debris contractor. And as you said, people are clamoring for them. In fact, there's Bondi, the Attorney General, the State Attorney General. She has opened up a case because there's been some shenanigans and there's been some price escalation. So Miami-Dade, Broward, and the Department of Transportation maybe decided they're going to pay more. So some of the debris contractors have pulled out from other cities and gone to where the money is, leaving them completely hanging. Now, it hasn't been that bad here, but when there's a statewide disaster after having it happen in Texas, there's only so many resources. And so I hear you, and then there's Linda, yell at her too, yell at Mike, yell at the city manager. I mean, at some point, you get the business from the customers, which I understand and can relate, so then I give the business to staff. But at the end of the day, we basically have every man, woman, and truck. We don't put children out because it's against the law, but man, woman, and truck from our staff plus our debris contractor to pick it up. And then the other piece of this is we actually have debris monitors that follow the debris contractor. Because let's say this is going to cost $5 million. That's $5 million that wasn't budgeted, that would have to come out of our contingency fund, our rainy day fund.
That hopefully.
That if we do this right, we'll get reimbursed by the federal government. I mean, it's part of us getting some of our taxes back, is this is one of the things the federal government does. And would you want to spend, $5 million to get it done 2 days sooner? You know what I mean? So that goes into the decision also. So we're following federal guidelines, and if you just bear with us, we understand where you're coming from. We want it picked up too, but we have to pick up a mountain worth of yard waste.
And it is a FEMA-related activity, which always adds a little bit of extra layers for you. But we do want that money back, because I don't want to pay for that. Do you? No, good.
And it really comes down to, you want 1.7 miles of sidewalks? Or, do you want the yard waste to get picked up 2 days sooner?
It should be noted, too, that hurricane debris is the only time Florida gets to see fall colors.
Well, so Ariel.
Got a positive thinker there.
Yes. A little glass half full from Ariel that we did get to see some fall colors in the form of dead leaves, which we don't get to see often. So upside.
But it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see a Waste Pro truck go by, and why can't they pick this pile up? It's only 5 palm fronds. It's normal. It's like my normal yard waste. And then, at some point, a normal trash pile becomes a hurricane trash pile. And when you're responding to an emergency, where do you draw that line and make it foolproof for the guys who are either on the back of a garbage truck or operating a clam truck?
Yeah.
And it has to really be foolproof. And so we started with, if it's a trash pile, it's debris. If it's in a can, and this is the secret sauce, is that if you have a small pile and you can fit it into a garbage can, it'll get picked up on your next trash day. Yes?
Are you supposed to do that? You're allowed to.
You're allowed to do that.
Okay.
You are allowed to do that.
Sure.
All right,
Does
but
anybody
thank you.
else have a question?
Very important question.
No more questions?
All right, thanks for trashing this session, Jeff.
Yes.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for joining us. I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you. And of course, thank you to Sean for doing our Children's Services Community Impact Award every single month. And to HCA and the whole HCA family, St. Lucie Medical and Lawnwood, for coming out and making this possible, making us be able to do it. Mark and Bob in the control room. And of course, the Silver Platter Entrees as well for providing the coffee and Danish. So if you come down on the second Friday of the month, 8:30 in the morning, right here at City Hall, we'll give you free coffee and Danish too, and then you get to be a part of our studio audience, which is exactly where all the fun happens. Am I right?
You are so right.
Sometimes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.